Hi guys, welcome to the Bunks YouTube channel. Let's go. Today I have some wonderful guests, which they're gonna share with us an interesting journey. So with the CA journey, usually everything is played out for you. I'm not sure how you guys felt immediately after qualifying. You get to varsity, the journey is laid out for you. It's 3 years minimum. CTA is 1 year minimum. You do articles, you pass the board exams, and then you look qualified. That there's a plethora of doors open for you. It can be daunting, not knowing what to do next. And how was that experience for you guys?
Sure. Go first.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay, do you wanna?
You can go.
Okay. So yeah, I think you're right, Simba, in the sense that it's laid out from you. From you do your degree. Your degree is 3 years. You do your CTA. It's 3 years. You write your board. You do your articles, and then you're done. And they're like, the world is your oyster.
Yeah.
I think it was. For me, my experience, I was open to anything and everything. I applied everywhere where I had to apply. I applied for consulting agencies. I applied for financial reporting roles in the firm that I was in. I applied for international opportunities, which is one thing that I really, really wanted to do. Like, I wanted to just have that international exposure as well. So there was just a lot, and it took a lot for me to actually, reflect and come back to myself and be like, but what do you really want to do? Because there's a lot
and there's
that
a lot
you
of
can
doors
do.
that can be
And there's a
open,
lot of doors that are just open.
Yeah.
And I think it was overwhelming. That's the term that I would use. It was overwhelming because there's just so much you can do, and if you don't know yourself or what you want, it's easy to get wallowed into the things that maybe don't align with your purpose. And so it's always like going back to the drawing board. Do I really want to do this? No. Why? Do I want to do this? Do I want the money? Do I want the international exposure? So it was really overwhelming for me, but I ended up staying with the Big Four firm. I moved to a bigger office in Johannesburg, and I joined a financial reporting role, which was a new experience, which I also very thoroughly enjoyed. But I guess I just always had that burning passion, I've been wanting to go overseas, and I really want to see what else is out there, which is where we are currently venturing.
She went ahead of me, but it's their story, and that's why we are shooting this content before they are over the seas.
You'll continue after me.
So there's a lot of opportunities, I guess, to answer your question. There's a lot of doors that will open, and I guess it takes knowing what it is that you really want. And it's okay not to know in day one. You can always go back. Like, I see a lot of senior managers and partners like moving around from CFO positions coming back to audit, or vice versa. Seeing a lot of people that are now like moving abroad when they now have families, husbands and wives. So I think one thing that this profession allows you is the flexibility.
And I think it's fine to be open, to even to make mistakes, especially in the early days of your career. You don't want to find yourself in the very same job, in the very same discipline for a long time, only to reach 40 to figure out that you don't like it. You're allowed to make mistakes, and that's my attitude. I'm in banking now. I don't know what I want. I'm not even sure whether it's banking. Anytime when I feel like, this thing doesn't know a self purpose for me, I'm going to move to another thing up until I find what I want. And not all of us are going to know on day one. The same way some of us chose audit as much as it chose us. Some people knew day one after varsity that I want investment banking, I want corporate and acquisitions and so forth. So what about you, Ndima? Your journey, not your journey, your experience post-article.
I just want to start and take it back a bit, because a few months before, a year before post-articles, I knew I didn't want to go to a space that's gonna fast pace. That's gonna be too fast paced for me, because I knew I had to fix my mindset first, because mentally
you were not in the right space then.
When I was done.
I
was ready to change a career after articles. I was just waiting to sign off I don't know, go start afresh or do something, you know. And lucky enough, I met someone who carried me through or helped me, you know, she's here, she's my wife today. So I knew that I had to go to a space where like it's gonna be different, non-audit, but not outside of the company, you know. So I did my research just to find out. I didn't even go to a lot of interviews. I went to one interview.
And that one interview
materialized. Yeah, and I had a conversation with the guy from the consulting firm. We all know it. They offered a lot of contracts to people during that time. I didn't even do an interview for those people, and they later offered me a contract. It was a very lucrative contract when I looked at it at the time. But nice benefits, Uber Eats. If you know, you know. But I did one interview, and the people that I spoke to during the interview, and the people that worked in the division, like a friend of mine that worked there, told me how it is and stuff like that. And even the interview was very nice. It was not too technical. So I knew that it's a place where I can go learn and build my confidence, rebuild myself, because I was broken.
Articles can crash you.
I was broken, and I had proper serious mental issues at the time, I think it was the move that I took. It was not about career. It was just about me, myself, finding myself again. You know, finding that passion again. You know, to be in this industry, because I could have easily changed. I found a different job.
You can lose yourself in.
You can lose yourself, and it's something that a lot of people don't speak about in this day. Like, we won't speak about the check.
Yeah.
The 25th, but hey, you can lose yourself. I think so. For me, for someone who is probably in that, going through that, I think forget the big banks and stuff like that. You know, find a safe space for you. Even if you wanna stick through an audit. Find a space in audit that's going to be safe for your mental health, because this is the beginning of your career. As much as we started them after varsity, but this is the proper beginning. This is where you want to set, make a foundation for yourself and start making those connections. So for me, it was just one interview. I previously wanted to go overseas, but at the time I was like, I'm not in the right space. I'm not in the right space to be away from my family. I was not married at the time, but we were in a very long relationship. So it was to find myself, love myself again. So and I found that. And I'm glad.
Funny enough, both of you guys are in financial reporting. What's the abbreviation? You call it what? Used to be FRG or what do you
You just don't want to mention the name.
Because you are going to give the answer. But what do you guys do in financial reporting? How does your day look like? We know audit, how the day of an auditor looks like, but I'm just curious myself. How does a day look like in the life of a
financial reporter
in a Big Four firm?
Okay, so I think in our firm, and I do acknowledge that it might be different from firm to firm and what the responsibilities are. But I think our focus in our firm, it's a very risk-based department in the sense that we support audit teams, but we focus on IFRS. You know, those thick books that we...
The green ones?
Yeah.
You're not about green now.
They were blue, they red, they change colors all the time. I think they're red now.
Is it? Okay, back to red.
Yeah. So that is our function is, it's I guess the firm acknowledging that, auditors sometimes don't always have the time to go through the depth of maybe accounting principles, and sometimes they're too complex whereby you need a specialist, if I may say. So that's where we then come in, just to ensure that, before they sign on those financial statements, they are compliant 100% with IFRS as well as other regulations like your JSE. So that is the main focus of the department, is just to sort of hedge our risk in that regard.
So you guys are IFRS specialists.
Yeah, I can say.
You can.
I'm giving you that.
Technical accounting.
IFRS specialists in that team. Specializer.
specialize.
And Ndima, maybe to add to what Fulu has mentioned, what was the biggest project you worked on, or transaction that you had to advise on, without giving details of the client and all that, but the nature of the transaction, and even the standard that shocked you, and like, oh, there was no way I would have known this, but as you were working on it, it stretched you and you were able to deliver fantastic work.
Yeah, I think this question is, I always say when you ask me my favorite song or my favorite in my head, but I know it has to do with IFRS 9.
IFRS 9.
IFRS 9, and having worked in insurance and banking, because that was my focus after articles, that I want to focus now. My focus must be in insurance and banking. Transaction wise, I can't think of anything right now, but it had to do with IFRS 9.
Yeah.
And the most interesting thing that happened this year, IFRS 17 became effective.
Effective, yes.
Yeah, so I'm working in one of the big insurance companies in South Africa.
Yeah.
Something to do with mutual.
It's green in color.
So it's a very interesting client, and I'm working with very experienced people. I don't think I'm the least experienced person in the team. So it's very interesting because it's new to everyone.
Yeah.
Even the questions you get from the audit team and the client, and the debate, the debates you have with them about other standards, not IFRS 17. It's very interesting, and because it's a new client, there's a high risk in terms of audit, so everything must be addressed with a lot of detail. So I think the standard that surprised me a lot, I always knew IFRS 9 was challenging, but IFRS 15
revenue.
Deciding that agent versus principal thing, there's a very fine and grey line between you are an agent or you are a principal. So I think it took us about 2 months debating
which one is the correct approach.
This is because today you think you go through the standard, advise, you speak amongst your team. These people are not the principal. And then you wake up, you sleep on it. Tomorrow it's like
maybe
there's actually no IFRS 15.
Yeah,
exactly. You sleep and you think about it, and in the morning you're like, no, there's no IFRS 15 relationship here.
Yeah,
it's actually
another standard proverb.
It's actually just a normal facilitation of funds.
What?
Exactly. These people are not an agent, they're not a principal, they're an agent in terms of English.
Sharks. Maybe VAT. Maybe also VAT, because maybe accounting and tax rules.
But accounting, there's no IFRS 15.
Oh wow.
And then they come back with more facts.
Yeah.
And you're just like, but you'll never be a principal.
Yeah.
And they come back with more facts.
Based on this and that.
So it went on for a whole, I think, 3 months. We ended up saying it's a principal. So
because you gave in.
We literally didn't give in, because we were our argument was very strong.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to sway us without a lot of facts.
Yeah.
And the fact pattern was not complete. So they came with a half story. Yeah. And when you come with half stories, IFRS will just kick it. IFRS is not personal.
Yeah.
It's straightforward. It's just this or that.
Yeah.
So that one, it was a whole debate for about 3 months. It was a very interesting transaction, which we ended up having to, after coming back and forth with the audit team, the client, us, and everything, we ended up having to say no, it's actually a principle, because now we've brought a much broader fact pattern, and the facts are straightforward now. So you also speak about exposure drafts. The interesting thing, last year I was part of the team that was working with ISB updates and exposure drafts. I didn't even know before I was in there. My first exposure draft, I had to, every Friday we have these meetings where we teach the rest of the team about new developments or things that they already know, just to refresh them. So my first time presenting in that department was in Jan, actually. First month. So the first few weeks, they were like, no, go present this thing, what you learned about it, from the meeting that we had with the other firms, other partners and stuff like that. So ISP updates. So it was a very daunting experience, but like I always say this about this department that I'm in, like they're not there to catch you out.
Yeah.
You are there to learn all the time. So I think they knew that I was new to this thing, and they like walked me through the process. I prepared the slides. I started preparing the slides. First draft was nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, the notes were a lot, you know, but they taught me how to like present the slide, like prepare, like the preparation and everything. But now it's an easy thing. It takes me a day to prepare for that. So like the learning curve. So exposure drafts. I was part of the team that attended meetings. I think I still am, but because I left the company. So it's very interesting to see how something ends up in the blue or red book. That book. So we are the first people to see the standard before. Like they'll give you a PDF, and you should never show it to anyone else.
Is it?
Yeah, you can't show it to anyone outside the firm or outside of the team. So like it's.
And you get to contribute and
you get to
contribute as a team.
Yeah, as a team, get to contribute and then present it to other firms, and it goes back to London. So I think they do that the whole world, or maybe South Africa is one of the picked. Because South Africa is the slave queen of accounting.
The content from South Africa.
The bright ones. So, man. So
despite all the shortcomings we had, the
no.
past few years, we're still there.
The bright side. But man, it's one of those interesting things that you see with you. Before something is on the standard, it's actually discussed.
And there's a lot of work that goes through in the background that we do not see.
There's a lot of opinions, like hot. You sit there and you're just like, yo, this guy is talking about his view on this thing. It's like, I didn't even think of that. You know, I didn't even see it this way. So it's very interesting to work in financial reporting, and it's not just reviewing financial statements like some people would think. There's a lot of queries that you get on a day, like, you know, almost every day you get a new query that you also learn on, like something that you'll never get in the class, because in the class they set a test for something that they taught you, but there you are not taught this thing.
You have to learn it yourself.
You have to learn it on the spot, you know. And when the audit team asks you, they think you know.
And you have to also pretend.
You have to also like you present yourself like. But the nice thing about it is, to always tell someone, let me come back to you. Because they want, sometimes they will call you.
It helps that,
I think the nice thing about our career is that we are not robots. We might know all of these things, but we don't have compartments in our brain where you can pick this file and open it. No, like a robot would do. Tina, we have to like go back and refresh and give you a proper answer. So I think that's what I like about it. It's not
And as a CA, I was chatting to a group of young professionals there as a speaker. You can basically be and do anything, and the way how rigorous the audit route is, and I always tell people, in hindsight, I will still choose audit over any other path in terms of doing articles. It prepares you, it stretches you to the fullest. In all aspects. And Fulu, do you have anything to share on your side with regards to FRG and all this just before we move?
No, I think he covered most of the things, but I think it was just learning that, I know he mentioned that, you know, IFRS is black and white, but it's not, it's actually grey. Everything lies to like interpretation, and hence the constant discussions. So that was also a good thing to learn, because in varsity, it's either the answer is right or not. But it can be both or none. Like that was an eye opener for myself.
Okay, that's interesting.